How's it going, guys? It's in the money. I have to preface it. I'm sorry. Everyone knows I'm ill. All right. I got meds out the wahoo. I should show you my pharmacy, my closet. It's just terrible. But I took a little extra Benny today. Benny being benzo, because I was not feeling very good. And now it's prompted me to make a slurred video. And so I'm very excited to talk to you guys about stuff that's very near and dear to my heart, which is your mama. I did not mean to say that. I meant to say break even. I did another gotcha poll on my community tab on YouTube, where I ask, when buying a single option, how do you determine your strike and expiration? And you guys can kind of pause and look at this if you want. But it's about 39% of people buy based off what they can afford, buy based off a gut feeling, or don't really know how or why they pick a certain strike or expiry. That's 39%. The rest either use some sort of analysis or don't trade options at all. So that's the right answer either way. But 39% is quite a large chunk. And if you think about it as people who trade options, it's 31% versus 39%. 31% do use analysis before entering a trade. 39% don't. So the majority between the two, if I'm not being done with my math, is that you are just going off a gut feeling or one of the things we discussed. So I want to talk about break even, why you pick a strike, why you pick an expiration, and why it matters, etc. And really, you can go. I could spend quite a lot of time diving into this, but the main idea is the lower the strike, the lower your break even by expiration. Break even does not mean just today. Yes, you can buy an option and sell an option today, roughly around the same price. Break even, when we talk about options, usually refers to options expiring, the day of expiry. What does the stock price have to be for you to break even? Well, that's going to be your strike price plus whatever premium you paid. If you got a free option, it would just be your strike price, and that would be your target. That would be your break-even target, and it would make sense. Options would be way more easier to understand because you'd just be going for your strike price. But guess what? You also paid some money, so you have to hit your strike price, and you have to make up for the money that you paid in order to hit your break even. So that's what your break even is your strike price plus the money you paid when you're buying an option. And so when you buy a lower strike, you're going to have a lower break even by expiration. If you just don't even think about premium, the amount of money you paid for it, the lower your strike, the lower your target. That's just how it works. The further out in expiration you have, the longer you have to hit your target, the higher probability of success. And that's why I'm a big fan of LEAPs, is because long-term equity anticipation securities, which I'll pop up in the corner here, is because they're very deep in the money, meaning they have a very, very low break-even. And I have like at least 1 year, usually more, usually like 2 years, to reach that break-even. And then once you hit break-even, anything past that is just money. That's just gains, right? Until tax season comes around. So let's kind of talk about some different expirations and strikes and stuff. And to do that, we're going to be using Photoshop. And now Photoshop's a little bit janky because I was gonna use a tablet, but the tablet just isn't working. And so now I have to use my mouse, and it's just messier. What's the color picker? What is it? Okay. So let's look at different expirations, right? Let's say. Okay. We got one expiration here. We got one expiration. Whoa, shiz. We got one expiration here. One here. One here. One here. Let's say they're equidistant apart, maybe 3 months or so apart. Now let's talk about what break-even would be. So we'll have our y-axis be the stock price, which is usually S sub 0, the stock price at any given point in time. And we'll say that that's it. Okay, we're not going to draw any fake stock price or anything yet. I'm kind of going off the cuff here. So let's take a look at our first expiration, which is this guy. How do I do? It's B for brush. Is this guy. We're going to take a look at this guy. Let's say it's 30 days out. Well, when you buy let's say you buy an at the money call, your strike is the current stock price. So you're basically at your break even by expiration. It'd be right here, except for the fact that you paid some money. So instead of it being right here where you bought it, it's actually going to slope upwards just a little bit. And there's going to be a range where you actually lose money down in here because you paid money to buy this option. And so this range, this actual width of this range that you could lose money, which would be like something like this, you know, is the amount you paid for the option. And that works for any option and for any expiry. So that's something you have to keep in mind is, how much should I pay for this option? Is there a lot of time value in this option, extrinsic value in this option? That'll make this much bigger. You know, if you paid a ton of money, like let's say implied volatility, which is time value, is super, super high. You buy an at the money call option. So you would think it'd look like this, but you paid a ton for it because implied volatility was super high leading up into earnings. And so it actually looks like this. And you have all of this range where you can lose money, right? Where before you paid a tiny amount and now you paid this massive amount. So implied volatility plays a pretty important role. And there's different sources for implied volatility. I wonder if TradingView probably has one. I haven't really looked into it because I'm not intending on buying any options quite yet as we just wait for lagging economic data to come in. But you can see how the same option can have a very different break-even. So now the break-even's up here versus where it was down here somewhere. But if you choose a further out expiration, even with the same kind of level of implied volatility, at the very least, you're going to give yourself more time where it will stay kind of steady, kind of linear, and then it'll ramp up at expiration. And you will have that kind of same profit loss. You just have more time, right? That's kind of the concept. And so we want low implied volatility because it's going to mean we are just at our strike plus a little bit, whatever we paid for. So if we have a low volatility, like low extrinsic value, far out expiration option with a very low strike, it can look something like this. So this would be like a leap option, right? It goes all the way out and it just slowly increases to here, okay? And actually at the tail end, it would do a little bit of an exponential increase like that. So you have a lot of time to be correct. And your break even is not that much higher than when you started, and it's usually, you know, it might not be that much. We can take a look at Robinhood actually and see what that looks like. If you look at, let's go way out, like as far 100,447 days out. Let's see, break even 24%. So it, you know, it's pretty high out there. What that's December 2025, so it's a year and a half. We're looking at Apple calls. And the reason for that is because there's so much time value built into these options. Wow. Okay. So I hope that kind of makes sense. But you can see as I scroll up, the break even gets higher and higher. While if I go in the money, the break even gets lower and lower because you are paying less in extrinsic value. Extrinsic value shrinks as you go in. You're paying more intrinsic value, less extrinsic value. Man, if my brain were all together, this would be much more better put together. But hopefully you're getting something out of this. So what you should be doing when you're looking at options chains like this is you shouldn't be thinking, what can I afford? Because otherwise you're like, okay, I have $1,000. I'll go out to, you know, I don't want to wait that long. Let's do like, oh, shit. Let's do like 74 days out. You're like, I have $1,000. Okay, so I'll do... Well, I don't want to just do one of these. I want to buy a handful in case all of a sudden it moons. So we'll buy 10 Apple calls at 175 plus 15% is your break even. That's just to break even. And that's in 74 days as compared to 1,045 days. So you can see that, yes, it's double the break even. But it is much more than double the time. So that's the benefit of leaps, right? So when you're thinking about buying an option, don't think about what you can afford. Think about what it is to break even. That's the most important part, how much it is to break even. In addition, we also need to consider the fact that there is exponential increase in time decay and theta the closer you get to expiration. So if you're really, really far out from expiration, like if we're doing, let's say expiration is like over here, right? Theta, your time decay is going to be pretty linear the entire time until the last maybe 3 months. It'll start ramping up, still kind of linear, and then the last 30 to 45 days, it's going to exponentially increase. And whatever your break even is what it's going to exponentially increase into. And so you have to keep that in mind when buying options. So if I flip back over to Robinhood, you have to think about, well, is 74 days quite enough? It could be, could not be. It depends on your style of trading options. For me, I always do like the most highest probability option, which is the deepest in the money and the furthest out. But those are also really expensive, right? If we look at the way out there options and we do deep in the money, let's open one up and see what the delta is. Because delta is a rough estimation of probability of profit, which is 91 right here. So this would be considered a leaps option. It's $7,000 versus the $1,000 we're interested in. So sometimes it's best to just stay out of the game. Anyway, so if I look at ones that are like within 25 days until expiration, let's open up the theta of this one. It has $9 a day that it's decaying, and it's worth $430. So if I pull up a calculator really quick, and it'll ramp up as you reach expiration. So what is it? $9 over 430, 9 divided by $430. It's 2% per day that is literally just getting deleted through theta, and that's at the money option. It's much higher at the money. It's gonna be smaller out of the money, but it'll be a larger percentage. So if I look at this at the money option, and it's 9 out of 430, we can look at the percentage of theta relative to the value of the option is maybe I'm doing dumb here, is 2%. Now if we go way out here and we look at the super far out of the money option, this one is, what am I crazy? Am I not my mind? No, I'm not. So way out of the money here, it's almost $1. So we'll say $1 divided by 6. So this is 2%. The way out of the money option is 16%. So yes, it's a smaller amount, but it's a much larger value of the percentage of the value of the option. So you're actually your option is going to decay away much faster. So if you bought like 1,000 of these, you're going to pay $6,000, but you're going to be eating 16% a day, and it's going to ramp up exponentially just to own these options. And for the same value, you could buy one that's super far out and has a super low break even considering the time until expiration, right? Let's see if TradingView does have implied volatility. Because I wanted to help you guys have a source for implied volatility. Oh God. Usually I use Thinkorswim for that. I'm not sure they're gonna let me log in. We can try that really quick. No, it's not even installed on my computer. Okay, let's open up Apple here. And we'll do indicators. This is TradingView. I encourage you to sign up. It's in link in the description. We'll do implied volatility. Implied volatility suite. What could that be? Let's take a look. So we have model implied volatility. What are we looking at? I double clicked it. So let's just delete one of them. Okay, so we have, I'm assuming we're looking at implied volatility here. And it's also showing IV rank at the same time, where green is above the average, probably last year's, I can't remember, implied volatility, while red is low compared to its historical implied volatility. So that is actually what I would call an implied volatility suite. That's pretty dope to look at. So you can see that it's relatively high, and that plays into why our break even is so high here and why all break evens across all strike prices are going to just be higher. But that break even is going to be a larger percentage. What am I saying? I'm just tripping. Anyways, so my thought process would go as such as I'm going through picking an option and deciding which one to buy. It would go, well, how far out am I willing to buy? How liquid is it? And how deep in the money should I go based on its liquidity. So if I look at Apple options again, and I say, yeah, I can do a $6,000 leap option, and it saves you money because it's kind of the equivalent of buying 100 shares outright. Remember I said 24%, we're not even looking at leap. So when you scroll down, it gets down to 10%. Like Apple can go up 10% by 2025, entirely possible. I'm still kind of holding on to pulling the trigger on leaps for whatever reason. It's just not feeling quite right yet. I feel like there's gonna be another leg down. That'll be a good opportunity, but nonetheless, it's not that high of a break even, right? For like $7,000, and it's that implied volatility, that extra money. Let's see if it shows, or that extrinsic value. I wish it would show extrinsic value. That'd be sick. I can calculate it in my head. No, I can't. I'm too tired. But the extrinsic value, the amount you pay above intrinsic value, which is time value, is the amount you're risking above owning 100 shares. So if you owned 100 shares, it'd be what? $15,100, but instead you are paying only $7,670. So it's like half of that. The disadvantage is you have to go up by 8% instead of it being break even when you buy stock. But still, I would like to take a look at this and see what the volume open interest is. It's pretty low. What's the bid-ask spread on this option? It's been a while since I've used Robinhood for buying options. I don't know if they'll show me the bid-ask. Hit continue. Well, yeah, I don't have enough. Oh, there's a bid-ask. So you can see the bid-ask is fairly wide at $400. And that will, as it gets closer to expiration, that'll get smaller because more people will be trading that option. So there'll be higher, people will be bidding higher and asking lower, competing over each other to get a fill. And so that'll shrink. But at the same time, if you get deeper in the money, you can see that is what, $400 of bid and ask. And then if I did this one, the bid is 104. This one's 108. Okay, it's about the same. But you can see the open interest is really low. So we want to take a look at volume, open interest, and liquidity. We want to consider the fact that this option is going to get deeper in the money. So maybe 0.94 delta is too deep in the money. And we might want to do something like the 115 strike. You can see open interest is higher. Volume is 0. That's not such a big deal. I'm more interested in the bid-ask spread. You can see the bid-ask spread has shrunk some from $400 to something like, a little under $300. So it shrinks as you go up. And you want to consider the fact that it's going to get deeper in the money. So you're going to lose liquidity. And is $400 that big of a deal? Not really. So buying a 115 strike call here might not be a bad idea because as it gets in the money, if I have to find somebody in between the bid and the ask here, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I've already have made $1,000. I might, yeah. So these are the kind of thought process I'm going through. I don't want my delta to be any lower than like 0.75. So you see open interest is risen and the bid ask gets tighter. So this is something that I'd be considering. But then you want to look at the break even and think, is that realistic? Well, you have a long, long time until expiration. Like how many days is that? How many days until... Oh my God, days until, ignore anything you're reading underneath there, until December, what is it? 19th, 2025. 1,446 days. Can Apple go up by 13% to hit break even? Definitely. And so that's why I like trading these options. So if you can't afford that and you're looking more up in here, with earlier expirations, you might want to get your head screwed on straight and start doing something different with your life. And that's not strictly advice because people do all sorts of different strategies and stuff. But for me, it's like, let's have like, maybe a handful of index funds, a nice bunch of stocks that you like, and then maybe you're on the wheel if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. You can contribute to a bond fund if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. I would encourage it if you're older. And then when it comes to options, that's like at the bottom of the list where you're like, let's get real here. This is real life. How much am I actually willing to risk? And so you also want to consider like, how big is this relative to the size of my portfolio? If you have $100,000 and you're paying $6,000, it's not that big of a percentage. It's $6,000, and you can easily, double your money over the course of 2 years or whatever. It's possible, not easily, but it's with options. It's just leverage is what I mean when I say easily. So those are all the things I considered. So I don't give you like a perfect answer, but I never look above the current share price. I don't do it. I don't look above the current share price when I'm buying a put. I don't look below the current share price. I'm always looking at deep in the money options and analyzing those and seeing what would happen if that option becomes deeper in the money. Will liquidity dry up? Will I have to exercise? That's usually unlikely, but it's good to monitor that as the trade goes on to see if you maybe should roll up and strike. You will have to pay a higher capital gains tax rate if it's before 1 year, which is why you don't want to buy like as deep in the money as humanly possible, unless you have the capital to exercise, in which case would be no big deal. But you will be giving up extrinsic value, be holding to expiration, which I wouldn't recommend. I'd rather roll my leaps option when it's like 3 months until expiration. But that's in a perfect scenario. So you just don't want to go too deep in the money is all I'm saying. So hopefully that gave you some picture of what I'm talking about. So when you're buying these 30-day out options, they look like that as far as break even goes. Further out, they look like this, right? Even further out, they look like this. It's linear for a much longer period of time, giving you a chance to, I hope we're looking at Photoshop here, short option, long option, it stays linear for much, much longer, the theta decay, which gives you a much greater chance to get above that break even, right? We get above that break even point, which is why I choose far out expirations. And by choosing a lower strike, I lower my break even. So that's why lower break even, further out expiration means I have more time to reach it. Maybe I should have just said that at the very, very beginning. Some person's going to comment and they're going to be all poopy. I'm going to say, why didn't you just say that? Everybody, and you put the timestamp, the important parts at the last 10 seconds. What an idiot. Yeah, that was the potpourri break even, slurred through some benzos and I'm on all sorts of medications, man. You want to see my pharmacy? I'll show you my pharmacy. This is not what I hope I'm on the right scene here. This is not what I'm not taking all of these right now, but like the process, each one of these represents like a point in my life. Okay, I'm still on a lot of meds, but look at all those. I still have more in the closet over there. I got more in my drawer. It's like tamping down these symptoms that instead of going after the main problem. Doctors are just so, they'll be like, they'll hand out medications like candy unless they're actual medications that treat the problem. God damn it. Okay, well, guys, I'm too wound up before bed. This is too much. Why are you guys keeping me up so late? It's not cool. The heater's on. I'm getting hot. Ugh. Yo, if you got a question, if this makes sense to you, sign up for the memberships. It's $10. It's $10. You can ask me a question, 2 questions, 3 questions a day, and I'll get back to you. I'm like surprised by how little. I'll show you my memberships here. Let's go. Let's see if it stops recording here. Hopefully not. Okay. We'll go to memberships. Okay, I have 19 members. No comments. No one's asking me any comments. It's literally $10. You can ask me anything you want, as much as you want for every day of your life. And I have a reminder on my phone that says respond to members. I come here once a day and I sit down. There's no questions to answer. And I'm like, I'm looking through my comments and there's people asking me questions. So I'm like, where's the disconnect? Do I need to sell my body? What will it take? Like, do I literally need to pay you guys to ask me questions? I know some of you guys have questions and are struggling and want answers. This is a place to do it. Are we even showing my screen? God damn. Like, I'm trying to be all hip and stuff. Here it is. With no sound effect. There's no questions for me to answer down here. Where is it? I have a little intro video, 19 people, and not even them are asking questions. And yeah, I bet if I go to my comments, let's see, but there's a question in here somewhere. You do not have to be using Webull to learn leap options on this video. What I don't understand is when you sell a put to open a put option from, say, buyer A, when I do a buy to close option, who gets the funds for me buying back the contract? You know, where's more questions? Can I do it? I can probably sort by questions. Contains question. What was the link? What I don't understand 30, 45 days out. Blah, blah, blah. Does anyone know? Okay, that has to do with the vaccine. Whatever. Well, I did not say that word. Don't demonetize me. So I'm telling you guys, it's a great place to ask me questions, and now I'm going to regret it because I'll get overwhelmed by a bunch of people joining. But if you don't want to sign up for that, I encourage you to sign up for Trading View in the link below. Either way, I hope this gave you some sort of dumb insight into how and when and where and why and who was he to pick a strike and expiration. You know, where am I here? It shouldn't be based, if you're going off a gut, if you're going off of how much you can afford, blah, blah, you're doing it wrong. If you don't have savings, you're doing it wrong. And a lot of savings, especially if you have dependents and a family, if you're not working on yourself and edifying yourself, you're doing it wrong. The highest ROI you can get is by working on yourself. That's the highest ROI, right? You do a $20 an hour job, you work an hour, that's an infinity % return. Okay, if you doubled that, it'd be amazing, but you will over the next hour. Of course, that diminishes over time. But point being, work on yourself so that you can maximize, you know, income and just the quality of your character. That is so much more important than options, stocks, whatever. And having a rounded out financial perspective. That is super important. Besides those things, it's in the money. And thanks for listening to me slur through all of this during my Splonk hour. Catch you later. Peace out. Oh, I have a button now.